All right, so we're going to take notes on finding the area of a triangle. And there's one set of formulas, kind of like how we had the law of cosine formulas yesterday, where there's like 3 different formulas, but rather than memorize them, you just memorize the pattern. So we have a set of formulas like that. And then we have another formula that you really do just memorize because it's one. So we have 2 different ways of finding the area of a triangle, okay? So first, I'm going to go ahead and draw a picture of a triangle so you guys can visualize what I'm referring to when I say the different letters. You guys missed it because she does it with this look on her face like... All right, so the first one is that the area equals 1/2 of A times B times sine of angle C. So A times B times sine of angle C. So the pattern is 2 sides and the angle between them. You guys see that pattern? So 1/2 of 2 sides times the angle, the sine of the angle between them. So the next formula is 1/2 times B times C times sine of A. So again, 2 sides and the angle between. Okay. The last one is 1/2 times A times C sine B. So last 2 sides, the angle between. So to be able to use this formula, the information that you have to have is side, angle, side. You have to have that information to be able to use this formula. Sometimes you will be given a triangle where side, angle, side is the information they gave you, and then it's direct. You just go straight to the formula, use it, you're done. But sometimes they give you like an angle, angle, side problem. And then you have to use law of sines to solve for something so that you have the right information so you can then use this formula. Okay? So we've got that one. The next one actually has, these ones don't have a name. I don't know what they are, just like, find the area of a triangle, use that one formula. I don't know, no name. The second one has a name. It's called Heron's Formula. And Heron's formula first starts off defining something as S. And I don't know why they chose S. I guess I feel like H would make more sense for Heron's formula, but they chose S. And S is defined as A plus B plus C, all divided by 2. So A plus B plus C. So the information that you got from this is you were given a triangle and you had all 3 sides. Heron's formula is what you use when you have all 3 sides, okay? So for this one, I'm going to write this as side, side, side. That's what they gave us. So we find the S value first, and then the area is a big square root sign, really long, and it is S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C. So the area is the square root of all that stuff. And those are the 2 separate formulas you can use. There are proofs of these so you can like see where they came from. And I can do that for you at some point if you want, but it's going to be a video outside of school because we don't have time. Okay, so S we define as we add the 3 sides, divide them by 2. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do 2 straightforward examples where they gave you the information you wanted, and then you go ahead and use it. And then we're going to do 2 problems where they didn't give you the information you wanted. You have to find something before you can find the area. So the first example, we're going to say find the area. I kind of like Heron's. For me, I feel like it's a little bit easier to remember. But yeah, I'm not a huge fish fan actually. I prefer that one just because that one is easier for me to remember for whatever reason. But
what if you don't have all the sides.
No, but I mean like, but on any given day, if you were to like, which formula do you remember? I'd be like, Herons, that's what I remember. I had to look up the other one online to remember what it was. So, anyway, you asked me my preference. That's my preference. Okay, here's the triangle. We're going to have angle A, angle B, angle C is going to be 71 degrees. Side A is going to be 16 inches. Side B is 5 inches. Side C is unknown. 71. Yeah, so 16, side of 5, and an angle of 71. And if you look at that, what information did they give us? It's a side angle side. So that means that for us to find the area, we're going to do 1/2 times the two sides, times 16 times 5 times sine of the angle between them. We just plug it straight in. So if they give you side angle side, it's a pretty nice, easy problem. So 1/2 times 16 times 5 times sine 71. Yep. So we're going to say the area is 37.821. What are the units? Inches squared. And we're done. That's it. So if they give you the information you wanted, it's pretty straightforward. Just go straight to it. Okay, we're going to do one for herons, and then we're going to look at like, what happens if they don't give you what you want? Okay, so for this one, we're going to use A, B, C. Side A is 2 pi. I'm being crazy here. Side B is 3 square root 2, and side C is 7. So this triangle has some crazy sides. Notice that I said the side has a length of 2 pi. I did not mention radians. We are still in degrees. We're still talking about triangles, and triangles always have 180 degrees. Okay, so we're not changing the mode on our calculator. I just said that the length of the side happens to be 2 pi. Okay, so this triangle gave us what? Side, side, side. And so when we look for this one, we're going to use Heron's formula. So the first thing we have to do is figure out what our S value is. And I find that by doing 7 plus 2 pi plus 3 square root 2 and dividing that whole thing by 2. It's the very first thing I do. So if you want to plug all of that in at once, then the top of the fraction has to be in parentheses. Should look like that. Okay? Divide by 2.
Will we keep our calculator in degree mode?
Keep it in degree mode. So our S value is 8.763. Did you type it in like this?
Yeah.
With your parentheses? Yeah. So if you don't put the parentheses, your calculator will only divide the last term by 2, not the first ones. That's why you put parentheses, because you want to add everything together first, then divide by 2. Did everyone get that? Okay. So we're going to use a decimal as our S value, and our S value shows up in our formula 4 times. So how are we going to get that S value into our formula? We're going to store it. So store, I'm going to go ahead and store it as S, which is the ln button. So second, or alpha ln. So I stored that as S. And then I'm going to go ahead and say that my area is going to equal S times S minus 7 times S minus 2 pi times S minus 3 square root 2. That's what we're going to be typing into our calculator. So I've got a big square root sign. I've got S times S minus 7 s minus 2 pi s minus 3 square root 2.
It doesn't matter which order you...
No, it's multiplication, so if you switch them around, you're fine. So your area is 13.159. Oh, I didn't put units. Centimeters.
Kelsey is having some difficulties. She said she didn't get that.
Look back at what you plugged in. Did you miss a parenthesis somewhere?
No.
Did you store your S?
Yes.
Are you in brain?
Yeah, are you in radian?
No.
You want to bring it up here so I can look at
Did
it?
you get like 26 points something?
That was it.
Oh.
I
Okay, I got 26
just
points.
Next, we're going to look at a problem that is not as straightforward. So for this problem, we're going to have angle A is 65. I don't know what angle B is. Angle C is 26 degrees. I have side A, side B, and then side C is 14 kilometers. So, what information did they give us? Angle, side. Okay. So they gave us angle, side, which is not what we wanted for the formula, right? So if they gave us angle, side, that means we have to either use law of sines or law of cosines to find some more information before we can use the formula. And it has to be law of sines because it's angle, side. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and write on my paper angle, side. So we're using law of sines. How do I start the law of sines? Okay. Equals. Okay, A over sine 65. So I haven't even figured out yet like what formula I'm eventually going to use for my area. I'm just going to go ahead and get started because there's really only one thing I can do first with law of sines. So I'm going to get some information and then I'll check back and see if I'm closer to being able to use one of them. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and solve for side A because that's the only thing we can find right now. I'm going to cross multiply. I have 14 sine 65 equals, actually, yeah, no, you're good. Keep going. Equals A sine 26. Okay?
Couldn't you do B because you can just add those two and just try to do one A?
Yeah, we can find angle B. That's what I was just thinking. But we still need to find side A regardless. Yeah. So we can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
All right. So what else do I need to do to solve for side A? Divide by sine 26. Okay, so I'm going to clear this. I have 14 sine 65 divided by sine of 26. And side A equals... So check to see if you have a typo anywhere. This is what you should have typed. So 14 sine 65 divided by sine 26 equals 28.944. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and fix my picture. That's 28.9-ish. Okay. And somebody said, I don't remember who it was, but they said we could easily find angle B, right? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and store A in my calculator so I don't lose it. I'm going to store it as A. Okay. And then how do I find angle B?
180 minus 64 plus 65 minus 26.
Okay, so angle B is 89. Okay. So what information do we have labeled on the triangle right now? We have all the angles
Two sides.
and two sides. And if you look right here, we have side, angle, side.
Wow.
Okay? So we can go ahead and we can use that information to do one of the formulas now. Now, we happened to solve for side A first, but if you had found angle B, then you could have solved for side A or side B, and you could have used this side angle side, or you could have done this side angle side, or you could solve for A and B and do this side angle side.
Overachiever.
So there are lots of different ways you could get to the area. This is not like everyone does the problem the exact same way. This is some people could have done A, some people could have done B. Ultimately, we would all get the same final answer. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and start writing out what I need to plug into my calculator. I have area equals 1/2 of the two sides multiplied together times sine of angle B. So the two sides and then sine of the angle that fell in between them. So in my calculator, I've got 1/2 times 14 times A times sine of 89. Are we getting that? Yep, kilometers squared. So that's it. So we didn't have to solve the triangle. We didn't have to find everything. We just had to define, we had to find enough to do side angle side. That was it. No. But example 4.
I hate
All right.
when you do that on the video. I'd be so mad. I'm like, could you please do
I have learned to laugh like that. No, that's not real. I started to laugh like that. The longer I've been teaching, the more my laugh starts to sound like that.
Okay, well, that please not do it.
All right, so 26. Sorry, side A or angle A, angle B, angle C is going to be 93. I don't know side A. Side B is 23 inches, and then C is 26 inches. So we're going to label those sides. And what information did they give us? They gave us angle side side. Ugh, what does that mean?
Oh man.
It's a pain.
Yeah, it's a pain in the angle side. Yeah, it means there could be two of them. There could be two of them. So, before you get very upset about this, the nice thing about the worksheet I'm about to give you, I don't want this to fall. Well, it depends. It depends on the problem. So if you're looking at a problem where there's a diagram, do you see how these diagrams are kind of drawn with a scale? If we are looking for this diagram and you find the angle and it fits the scale, then you just find that one triangle. The only time, so if I find that angle Z is like 30-something degrees, then yeah, that's the this is clearly the drawing of the triangle. If I solve for angle Z using law of sines, the ambiguous case, and I find that angle Z is like 132, then clearly this is not the triangle they were talking about. Right? Because that angle Z is not 132 degrees. Does that make sense? So if they gave you a diagram, then it's definitely one triangle that you're working with. You don't have to do two. The only time you would have to find the area of two triangles is if they did not give you a diagram and the information they gave you made two triangles. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're going to look at this one. We're just going to see if there's two triangles. We'll see if we have to do the area twice. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. We know that we're trying to get to side, 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 or side angle side, whichever way we can go to first. But we do know this is law of sines, so we have to get started there. I'm going to draw two pictures just in case there's two triangles. Ugh.
We already know it's going to be there.
That's not true. You don't know.
But you eat. We do know.
All right. So I have 2. And clear this out. All right. What should I do first? No.
6 over sine 93 equals 23 over sine b.
Okay.
23 sine 93 equals 26 sine b.
Okay. So we have 23 sine 93 divided by 26. So that decimal equals sine b. And how do I get angle b? So sine inverse of that, I get angle b is 62.056. So if you were doing a diagram, then you would be able to tell right now if that was the triangle you were talking about or not, based on the diagram. Because either that number would make sense for the diagram or it would not. The only time you have to check the second triangle is if they gave you clues in text. They gave you words, then you'd have to check. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and store this as B. And how do I check my second triangle? That's a 117 degree angle. If I put 117 degrees here,
There's no second triangle.
Hey!
there's no second triangle. It doesn't make sense. You guys. All right. So that's what we have. Now let's look at this picture. We need to have either side, 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 or side, angle, side. We don't have anything yet. So what, because if you look at it, like, for side, angle, side, you have to have an angle, and the sides on either side have to be there. So if I'm looking at this angle, I have 26, and I don't know. If I'm looking at this angle, I have 23, and I don't know. And I can't even look at that angle because I don't have that. So if I could find, I have 2 options. I could find angle A, and then do side, angle, side. Or I could find side A, and do side, angle, side, or side, angle, side. I've got all those options. So I think finding angle A would be easier because you just have to do 180 minus that stuff. Okay? So I'll do 180 minus 93 minus angle B. And then angle A, I'm going to write it over here. Actually, so you can see it. Okay. Angle A is 24.944. And I'm going to go ahead and store that because I am about to use that in the formula. So I'm storing that as A on my calculator. Okay. So that means that for this problem, area equals 1/2. And what were the lengths of the 2 sides on either side of A? Oop, there we go. 26 and 23, right? So I'm going to say that my area is 1/2 times 26 times 23 times sine of angle A, which I have stored on my calculator. Okay. So 1/2 of 26 times 23 times sine of angle A. If you have 99 with a 6 after it, what does it round up to? 100, right? 99, 099, round it up. Okay. So we're going to write area is 126.100 inches squared. All right. So you always have multiple options. You could kind of make these problems work out the same for you every time if you wanted. You could be like, I have to use law of sines. Let me find one of the sides first, let me find the angle that goes with that side, then I'll do side angle side based off that. You can always do it that way. Or if you want to approach each problem a little bit differently so you can feel a little bit lazy sometimes, you're welcome to do it that way too. Okay? But basically the way these work is either they gave you side, side, side and it's Herons, or they gave you side angle side and it's straight to that formula, or they gave you one where you have to use law of sines and then you go to the SAS. You don't ever really go to Herons unless they gave you side, side, side. Okay? All right. How are we feeling? Can we handle the formulas?
No.
You can't handle the formulas. You don't want to handle the formulas. All right.